Good Monday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome back to Conversations Daily News here on Instagram and Threads. Look, we've been gone for a while, ever since we had that little snafu with my Instagram account being hacked, where I had to let go of Cyrus Webb Presents and take on Cyrus Webb Reviews. And we also wanted to do something special as we're heading into 2024, and that is bring back our daily news here Monday through Friday, right here on Meta Products. So for today, of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this Monday. Have a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. If you have your copy of the book, we're on week number 44 this week. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you guys are hearing part of my conversation with Dr. Tenaria Drummond-Smith discussing her book, Authorpreneur Blueprint, My Personal Nuggets for Becoming a Best-Selling Author. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Monday headlines. In international news, Gaza receives largest aid shipment so far as deaths top 8,000 and Israel widens military offensive. Nearly 3 dozen trucks entered Gaza on Sunday in the largest aid convoy since the war between Israel and Hamas began, but humanitarian workers said the assistance still fell desperately short of needs after thousands of people broke into warehouses to take flour and basic hygiene products. The Gaza Health Ministry said the death toll among Palestinians passed 8,000, mostly women and minors, as Israeli tanks and infantry pursued what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called a second stage in the war, ignited by Hamas' brutal October 7th incursion. The toll is without precedent in decades of Israeli-Palestinian violence. Over 1,400 people have died on the Israeli side, mainly civilians killed during the initial attack. Communications were restored to much of Gaza early Sunday after an Israeli bombardment described by residents as the most intense of the war knocked out most contact late Friday. The besieged enclave's 2.3 million people were largely cut off from the world. Israel has allowed only a small trickle of aid to enter. On Sunday, 33 trucks of aid entered the only border crossing from Egypt, a spokesperson at the Rafah crossing told the Associated Press. After visiting the Rafah crossing, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court called the suffering of civilians profound and said he had not been able to enter Gaza. The Israeli military said Sunday it had struck over 450 militant targets over the past 24 hours, including Hamas command centers and anti-tank missile launching positions. It said ground forces killed a number of Hamas militants as they exited one of their extensive networks of Gaza tunnels near the crossing, which was the sole pedestrian passageway into Israel before it was destroyed in the fighting. The Hamas military wing said its militants clashed with Israeli troops who entered the northwest Gaza Strip with small arms and anti-tank missiles. Palestinian militants have continued firing rockets into Israel. The aid warehouse break-ins were a worrying sign that civil order is starting to break down after 3 weeks of war and a tight siege on Gaza, said Thomas White, Gaza director of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. People are scared, frustrated, and desperate, he said. One warehouse held 80 tons of food, the UN World Food Program said. It emphasized that at least 40 of its trucks needed to cross into Gaza daily just to meet growing food needs. Israeli authorities said Sunday that they would soon allow more humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. The head of the civil affairs of Kojet, the Israeli defense body responsible for Palestinian civilian affairs, said Israel had established a humanitarian zone near the southern city and recommended that Palestinians flee there. In national news, Matthew Perry, Emmy-nominated Friends star, dead at 54. Friends star Matthew Perry, the Emmy-nominated actor whose sarcastic but lovable character was among television's most famous and most quotable characters, has died. The actor was found dead at his Los Angeles home, according to coroner's records. An investigation into how Perry died is ongoing, and it may take weeks before his cause of death is determined, says the Associated Press. Perry's body was found in a hot tub at his home, according to unnamed sources cited by the Los Angeles Times and celebrity website TMZ, which was the first to report the news. The LAPD told the Associated Press on Saturday that officers had gone to that block for a death investigation of a male in his 50s. In more national news, Richard Mall, who found fame as a bailiff on the original sitcom Night Court, has died at the age of 80. Richard Mall, a character actor who found lasting fame as an eccentric but gentle giant bailiff on the original Night Court sitcom, has died at the age of 80. Mull died last Thursday at his home in California, according to his publicist. Mull played Bull on NBC's Night Court from 1984 to 1992, alongside star Harry Anderson. And finally, in entertainment news, video game adaptation Five Nights at Freddy's notched its $130 million global debut. It hardly mattered that Five Nights at Freddy's was released simultaneously in theaters and on streaming this past weekend. Fans flocked to movie theaters across the country to see the scary video game adaptation on the big screen, which made $78 million to top the North American box office, according to studio estimates on Sunday. That made the top 5 movies over the weekend. Number 1, Five Nights at Freddy's with $78 million. Number 2, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour with $15 million. Number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon with $9 million. Number 4, After Death with $5 million. And number 5, The Exorcist Believer with $3 million. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Monday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. There is someone that will cross your path who might feel lost and disenchanted with life. Choose to be the beacon of hope that they can look to and know that in time, everything will be all right. Have an amazing Monday. Dr. Tenaria Drummond-Smith is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight right here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Dr. Tenaria Drummond-Smith joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her amazing journey and her new book, Authorpreneur Blueprint, My Personal Nuggets for Becoming a Best-Selling Author. Here's a bit of our conversation. But Dr. Drummond-Smith, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to speak with you. Thank you for having me once again.
Look, we're glad to do it. I was saying to you, Dr. Drummond-Smith and I had a chance to speak briefly before this segment. I said to her, especially because October is recognized, among other things, as National Book Month, we also were glad to be able to spotlight her this month. So talk to us about this journey for you, Dr. Drummond-Smith. What has it been like for you to have achieved your own personal goals, but also to be able to help other people do the same thing?
Well, I'm excited to speak with many of you all who are listening to tell you about my own personal goal about writing books. It's been certainly a blessing to be able to share my story with like-minded writers and viewers. It's just a journey to allow people to understand, that we all have a story, and I love sharing and inspiring other women and men to tell their story, because our story is a part of our legacy, you see. And what I like to do is to motivate and cultivate and push people to tell their story, so that way nobody can tell the story like you can tell it. So I use my platform, allowing them to be on 42nd Street billboards and, allowing people all over the world to see them and to help them to be encouraged to write their own story, as far as, being a co-author in books with me.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. Prepare to get on tomorrow more news, message from my book Words I Choose to Live By, and of course, Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.